This is a not so technical review. What's up guys, if you're new to this channel, my name's Gabe Dennis. I'm a full-time filmmaker. I mainly shoot weddings and music videos. If you're in that type of thing, consider subscribing. I've been using the Sony A7S III for about 8 months now and used it across all projects for that time being. So I thought it was right to give a review now that I put the camera in a bunch of different scenarios and tested, see how it performed. Well, this camera is amazing. So let's start with image quality. The one thing everybody cares about, including myself, in a camera. Does the image look great? Well, short answer, yes. The Sony A7S has the capability of shooting 422 10-bit 4K at 24, 30, 60, and 120 frames per second. One thing I love about the 4K so much compared to all the other Sony cameras is that the 4K is sharp. It's like the previous line where it's downsampled 6K to 4K. But it's actually true 4K in this camera. It's just enough detail and soft enough skin to make it look and perform like a cinema camera as far as the codecs, which is amazing because you're not having to spend $8,000 to $10,000 on a cinema camera to get the quality of a cinema camera. But this does come at a price because the file sizes are huge, like pretty big. Luckily, Sony has given us the option to choose our codecs and file sizes. If you want the maximum quality out of this camera, expect massive file sizes, a lot of storage space, and a lot of SD cards, which is another con to this camera, is the SD cards. Right now, I use the ProGrade 256 gigabyte, and well, they're fantastic cards, but they are expensive. They're around $240 per card. This camera holds 2 cards. With that said, I would pay that price, which I am, to have the quality that I'm getting because it is definitely worth it. Moving on to the next thing I love about this camera is the autofocus. And to show you and give you an idea, I got the Sony A7 III, and let's see how fast it autofocus. Now right now I have it on eye tracking. So if I put this in front, as long as it's not in front of my face, it is going to stay with my eye. It has features like eye detection and face detection and also touchscreen autofocus. Now, I mainly use just the eye detection and face detection, especially for events like weddings where things are fast paced. I don't always have the opportunity to shoot manual, so having the autofocus being super fast, it just takes another stress off me and another worry that I gotta think about during the process of filming. And you also have the option of changing the variable rate of how fast it autofocuses. If you want to pull off more of a pull focus shot, you can set the setting to 1 and use the touchscreen to go from one object to the next, and it will create almost like a manual focus would. So that's amazing to have and on the fly. Speaking of touchscreen, Sony has changed the screen on this camera. It is now a flip screen. I didn't think I would use it that much. It wouldn't be a huge difference in comparison to, say, these old screens that Sony used to have. I was wrong. It really makes a huge difference, especially in situations like this where I can see myself and I don't need external monitor. To be honest, I still use one, but if you're a vlogger, this comes in handy. Also, the fact that you can use a gimbal with it in the back arm of the gimbal, it's not blocking the screen or your view from what you're seeing. There are cons to it and concerns that I have with it. One being, I'm afraid that if I have the screen out and something were to happen, whether I trip or fall, that screen's gonna break straight off. It feels strong, but it also feels with the leverage it has that it could snap pretty easily. Other than that, I think it's a great upgrade and I'm not complaining one bit. So on to the next thing. As for the low light of this camera, as you know, and I'm sure you've already seen that this camera is a beast and it does offer dual native ISO. Now it's not advertised that it has dual native ISO, but from the technical YouTubers that actually know what they're talking about with the technical specs of the camera, they basically say it is a dual native ISO. So to state that I mainly shoot with S-Log2, anytime you're shooting S-Log, you have a different base ISO or native base ISO, which is usually 800. But with this camera, it's 640. Now, here's the caveat to the low light of this camera. So from 640 to 5,000, you have a superb clean image. But from 5,000 to 11,000, it gets nasty. But here's the kicker. When you switch from the 11,000 to 12,800 ISO, it's like it's back at 640. It's just as clean. And I have shot at 12,800 ISO, 16,000 and 20,000, and it's been clean every single time, which again, the camera's a tool. And the fact that this camera can take so much worry off your shoulder or other concerns when shooting, it's nice. It's almost where you're able to create with no restraints. A huge change that I love about this camera coming from the A6500 is menu system. Now, I've gotten used to the Sony menu system and a lot of people complained about it. I get it. It's confusing. It doesn't make sense in the order that they have things. But with this new camera, the menu system is completely different. It's very easy to navigate. And with the touchscreen, it makes it easier to go through the settings. But one thing that I think they were genius on doing is when you're in movie mode or photography mode, it only shows you those settings. So if you're in movie mode, it only shows you your video settings and then vice versa. Where the other cameras, sometimes you would think that one of the settings that you're changing has to do with video when it has nothing to do with it and it has only to do with photography. So it's nice to not have all that clutter when you're just filming. So yeah, there's that. I know a lot of people care about the IBS in the camera. Me personally, not so much because I'm always using some type of rig, whether it be gimbal or handheld rig, shoulder rig, slider, all that good stuff. It's very rare that I'm actually holding a camera handheld in filming. With that said, this camera does feature IBS, and it also has another setting called active steady shot. I've used it, and the only reason I don't like it is because it crops in the image. And especially, I shoot a lot of wide stuff. I'm not trying to crop in more than I have to. So you have to sacrifice active steady shot with a crop. But it makes sense if you're doing a run and gun, like physically running, chasing a subject, or some type of sports, fast-paced movement. I would use it in those scenarios. Another option, which I have used, is Catalyst Browse, which is a software meant for this camera. It can turn the worst shot into the best shot. Sadly, the software kind of with my computer, and well, that causes me not to like it or use it. But other people have had great experiences with that software, so there's always that option. Two more honorable mentions that this camera has compared to the previous ones is almost no rolling shutter, similar to a global shutter, but not there yet. Another thing that I love about this camera that they made a change, and it's so simple, is that you're able to change the settings while recording. You can change your audio levels while recording, your white balance, pretty much a majority of the things that you need to change on the go while recording without stopping is amazing. At the end of the day, my conclusion is that this camera is the best camera, and if you were to buy it, I don't think you would regret it. Well guys, if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you so much, and please consider subscribing if you found some value out of this info. Hopefully this video guided you on whether you should buy the camera or not buy the camera. Either way, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.